We gotta get
Listen, where you playing in town? You playing here?
We're doing the Enormo Dome, whatever it is. It's terrific.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
big
the big
house.
place,
We sold
that
it out.
side of town. That's a big
nice.
place. You sold it out.
20,000 seats. We really should.
The hell are you doing? I couldn't sleep. I'm checking the ropes. There was a frayed end on your rope, and I'm cutting it out.
Good weather, bad weather. Now or later, anytime is good for climbing.
Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to the Enormocast. You found it. It's May 1st, about 9:30 p.m. This is your host, Chris Kalous. On episode 10 of the Enormocast, that's right, we've hit double digits, ladies and gentlemen. I hang out in the mobile studio, once again with Kelly Cordes, who's becoming a sort of a guest host here on the Enormocast. We talk about the films that we saw at the 5 Point Film Festival, which was in Carbondale, also home to the world headquarters of the Enormocast. But before we get to that, I want to thank those of you who donated since last episode. Last episode, I got down on my knees, my virtual knees, my podcasting knees, and begged for money. I won't be doing that again. I just wanted to put it out there that one time. I will be mentioning the donate button, but I won't be begging anymore. But I want to thank the folks that came through. I really appreciate that, and it will go to a worthy cause, mainly stickers. Anyway, couple programming notes. I've decided that though I've been doing mostly exclusively interviews these last few episodes, I kind of had a plan to get kicked off with that sort of thing. Simply because, well, I didn't have any other good ideas, but I have plenty of good ideas now. So I'm going to back off a little bit on the interviews, try to do those every other episode, and maybe start experimenting a little bit with some other ideas that I've got in my head. Going back to the topic format a little bit, like the old podcast, and some other ideas. So just letting you know, things are going to get a little weirder, more weird. Which is it? Also, while the 5 Point was in town, there was a bunch of industry people running about, many of whom are friends of mine. But at the same time, I still felt like a little bit of an outsider with those folks throwing around words like branding and authenticity and return on investment. And I realized that I think for this thing to be successful, I'm going to have to be sort of like George Costanza in the episode of Seinfeld when he realized that his first thought and the things thought he was supposed to do were actually absolutely wrong. And when he started doing the opposite of everything he thought he should, everything started working out for him. So in terms of courting media and that sort of thing, I am feeling sort of like George, that I'm going to try to forge a unusual path with this thing, not maybe hit all the things I'm supposed to do. Like I'm supposed to have video. Don't want to do it. Don't have the time. I'm supposed to be blogging. Same thing. Anything I want to blog, I'll blog over on Splitterchoss. I'm supposed to do gear reviews. Everybody loves gear reviews. Yeah, free gear's sweet, but I don't know if I can put that on the Enormocast. So anyway, hopefully my plan of build it and they will come will last and someone will show up at my doorstep. But for now, I figure I can keep this thing going. I got the motivation, at least to put a few months in, right? With that said, once again, if you'd like to, please tell your friends to listen. Please go to iTunes and subscribe. Leave a review over there. That really helps me out. Come to the website, enormocast.com. Leave some comments. Go to the Facebook page and like. I mean, that's what, like 15 minutes of time? You can do that for me, can't you? All right, moving on. It's time to go to the movies with Kelly Cordes.
This aggression will not stand, man.
Okay, all right, we're going to officially begin.
All right.
I have lured Kelly Cordes back into the mobile studio.
That's the thing with the mobile recording studio, dude. You get street noise, traffic.
I know, but it's more real.
Yeah.
It's more street.
You keeps it real.
Kelly's in town here in Carbondale because of the 5 Point Film Festival, which I talked about on the last program, did a little promo for, and has turned into this in 5 years, 4 years, 3 years?
I don't know.
Something know. I've lost track, but turned into kind of this major film festival here in town.
Pretty freaking good. Man.
Inviting people here. It started by Julie Kennedy, mother of friend of the show, Hayden Kennedy. Yeah, so we're Kelly's in town with a whole bunch of other famous people to watch movies about themselves, basically.
It's like Waiting for Guffman. It's the outdoor world version of Waiting for Guffman, dude. Totally.
Yeah.
Man, I want to get one of those T-shirts, like, to wear for myself. You ain't shit in a real town.
In this town, though, yeah, it's true. This is actually, outdoor-wise, this is a real town. You can trip over like some major skier, climber.
No doubt.
On a given night.
And for such a small little place, kind of off the map, really. Carbondale not only I think is a really sweet place, it's a really cool town. It's nowhere near as upscale and hipster cool as Boulder, but it's not totally backwoods either. And
right.
You have amazing terrain real close by and a lot of badass athletes. And at the film festival, they do a really good job. Like I've been kind of ruthlessly critical of a lot of film festivals just because I think they're boring. The films go on for too long. They don't vet them well. They do a really good job of vetting the films here. There's not too much. This stuff's subjective, right? I mean, what I think is garbage, someone else might love, and vice versa. But I think you'd be hard pressed to find many films that they show at 5 Point that you can just be like, what were they thinking by letting that one in?
Right.
They do a good job of that.
Yeah.
They do.
Well, I mean, that's the nice thing is like I'm not a huge online video watcher in terms of climbing or anything else. And that's part of the problem is that you wade in and it's just like so much stuff and half of it's just like awful wobbly video. And so it's nice to come to a place where they've weeded it out for you.
They really have.
And this is like not a climbing film festival. It's definitely an outdoor film festival. And they even, sometimes they break into some other different stuff that they had that great movie we'll talk about a little bit called The Aquadettes about these old ladies in Florida. Orange County, California. Synchronized swimming.
So good.
Yeah. So, but we'd like to start. I'll ask you what you thought a few of your favorites were, and let you guys can look for these online or whatever.
I would say, and with the disclaimer that I missed some of them. That like there was a film called The Mother that I really wanted to see, and anyway, long story, but. Not really, but an uninteresting story as to how I missed it. And I'm pissed about it. Someone will pay. One of my favorites was called Racing the End. And here we can read the little blurb. Once a year, Los Angeles closes down 26 miles of the city's most congested arteries for the LA Marathon. At 4 a.m. on race day, before the runners hit the pavement, 400 cyclists claimed the deserted streets of their own. So it's like this underground like bike race. It's like unofficial. And did you see that one?
No, I didn't.
Dude, it was so good. And it was all shot in black and white. And it was like piss pouring rain. And there are these dudes who just like are like serious racers, but I think most of them just kind of shun the like formal race scene and are just like, nah, it's bullshit. We're not going to pay a bunch of money to do these races. And these are like good serious hardcore riders, and they show up and the streets are clear. Like LA is like the most commuter unfriendly town ever.
Bike commuters.
Bike commuters. The streets are closed for the LA Marathon to start in a few hours, but these guys sneak in between the time they close the streets and the time the LA Marathon starts. And there are like 400 people show up. It just like, I don't know how the groundswell happened, how the word got out, but all of a sudden you have all these like serious dudes like when like t-shirts and bike shorts and like just going for it really hardcore and racing. And they have like, and I think the only prizes is I think you get a dog tag. And like if you like finish at a high level, it was just a really cool, full on like counterculture kind of original thing. They did the music perfectly. I thought the shots were great, and the story was really compelling. It was just about this thing that these dudes love to do, and I think there's an art to this whole film thing. And not that I know shit about it, I'm just really good at criticizing it. Like one of my talents in life is pointing out the shortcomings of others.
High fidelity.
Yeah, exactly. But it is hard to do. It's hard to do well. And I think as is evident by how many films are less than stellar.
Right.
It's not easy to do, and I thought they did a great job with it. I also really loved Aquadettes, which really wasn't an outdoor thing at all. It was about these old women who like are really just vibrant and trying to stay active,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in this synchronized swimming group.
Yeah.
And so it's really funny, you know.
It's cute and funny, but then it hits you. It hits you below the belt too. You know, it's
man, I know.
because the sort of main character is she's dealing with multiple sclerosis
Yeah.
and just getting really old.
Yeah.
Ends up using medical marijuana, which is like a really small part of it. But
Yep.
the way she talked about, you know, not thinking of herself as old.
Yes.
And like, you know, she's old. You know, so it's one of those great, you know, almost like that Shakespeare thing of make them laugh and then make them cry. And then make
Yes.
them laugh and then make them cry. So
It's kind of what that one
Yeah.
did in
Yeah,
all
totally.
of whatever it was, 7 or 10 minutes. And
Mm-hmm.
I know, and one of the cool things about some of these films, I think, and some of the ones that are done just right, they'll be done in a way that, even though, you know, I'm not a synchronized swimmer, but you can almost kind of see yourself in that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, man, it like hit me when she was not thinking of herself as old.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
and everyone else is like, lady, you're old.
I mean,
you
the
know,
whole
and
point
she's
of the
trying.
film was how basically old they were. And it's
Yeah.
so awesome that she's like, I don't consider myself old, and the way she, you know, and you know, we'll probably by the end of this wonder what this has to do with climbing, but not much. This show isn't going to have much to do with climbing, but you know, she was talking about like not letting herself become stagnant and
Yes.
sitting around and,
Yes.
and just and sort of waiting to die and counting the minutes
Right.
till she dies and like staying vibrant and
Man,
staying
can't
we
we all appreciate that as
totally.
climbers? I mean, my God.
Yeah.
You know, and here's this old lady. This is just her version of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I mean, and climbing's absolutely no better than synchronized swimming.
Right.
You know, I mean, talk about a worthless activity, you know, climbing and synchronized swimming, but they're both, and they're equally boring to watch. But yet, this is what this lady loves to do, and man, it just like
I wouldn't say
pulls-
they're equally boring to watch. I think climbing's
Climbing's
probably a
more
little
boring?
slower. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. But like, and then it just pulls at your heartstrings that this lady, as she starts to suffer the decline of MS, she can't even, you know, she has a hard time getting in the pool, and you're just like, oh my God, you're like, you know, about to cry. I mean, you really feel for her, and I thought that was a wonderful film. Code Red, dude.
Yeah, we're gonna get into Code Red pretty heavy. in a few minutes,
Yeah,
so let's,
sure, okay.
let's hang on.
Should we
with
hold
that
on to that one?
Yeah.
So I got a few others. I liked Wrinkles of the City with the just like these people in Los Angeles. This had nothing to do with outdoor stuff, but these murals got painted of these people's faces, and these were atypical people with a lot of wrinkles, and it's kind of about like owning your wrinkles, basically,
Right. And
your,
public
and your
spaces, too.
face, yeah, and public spaces,
Right.
yeah, and you know, being okay, being comfortable in your own skin, and I think they did, and that's a topic that could be done in a really cliche way, but I thought they did a good job with it.
Is there any climbing movies on your top 10 list over there?
Shit, dude. Ooh.
What about that?
What does that say about?
What about
Yeah.
the Obi one?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Even
This is a little older, but
this
they
one's a
brought
little
it
bit
back.
older. But yeah, Obi and Ashima. That's the only one on my top list. I think of climbing ones actually. Granted, I'm jaded and cynical.
Yeah. As soon as we see climbing, we're just like,
I know.
Come on. You
But-
guys are faking
But
that.
or we could be like, no way, dude, I totally did that one.
Yeah.
Obi and Ashima, I thought that was a great one. It's a couple years old, but I hadn't seen it.
Uh-huh.
About a Obi Carry-On who's like, you know, dealing with, you know, some, you know, hardships in life, kind of hard scrabble upbringing. Then he was the man for a while, and then he was a little bit lost, and then he's like starts coaching this young girl, this Ashima, who's just a phenom, and it was so cool to see like this Obi dude kind of come out of his shell, and to see just the kind of purity of the youth of Ashima and her efforts and her figuring things out, and Obi like growing through that process as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was touching.
And he was part of that kind of scene back in the day, like, you know, sort of rough attitude and
Yeah,
like street
yeah. I'm
kind
all
of deal.
cool,
Right.
yeah.
He's really vulnerable in it, and
Yeah.
that's a pretty heavy part of that film.
That is that vulnerability. That's key.
Let me ask you this. Now, you have some close friends here in Carbondale who are filmmakers. So even though you claim to not know much about it, it's like you have a view, at least a little bit to the inside. And
Right.
having been around, and we've I mean, from the days of like, you know, what were some of those early? Did you ever remember the John Long, even the John Long How to Rock Climb videos on VHS?
I watched the videos. I just read the books. I devoured the books.
No, yeah, awesome. But Masters of Stone, VHS, you know, all those sorts of things. We've actually, as you know, usual, and my friend Peter Carey gave me a message through another friend that I shouldn't talk so much about being old.
Oh, okay.
So whatever.
Dude, that's fine by me.
Yeah. Anyway, because
unless you're going to talk about me being old.
Give me a break, all right? Anyway, but you know, we've seen this evolution, and in the last few years, you know, with the kind of democratization of the process, with cameras being cheaper, you know, you can get really good footage with relatively inexpensive cameras, relatively small cameras. You can carry them around with you a lot more, and there's a lot more people making films, which, in my opinion, you know, means there is actually can be a lot of stuff out there, like I was saying, when you're wading through it, that are pretty grim. But at the same time, it's also I kind of improved it. So what do you think, having been here a few years in a row and seen these films, what do you think are some of the improvements that are going on?
So I think that, that democratization of the process, indeed, you got to, you know, wade through some dreck for sure. But you also find some brilliant things, because that's one of the cool things. I mean, there's a lot of talented people out there with some really cool ideas and some really cool vision, and so you get an opportunity to see it, or to show it. But so it's kind of interesting. I used to be hugely critical of the lack of story in climbing videos. I mean, they're trying to do like climbing porn.
Hi. Hello. Meine dispatcher says there's something wrong with deine Kabel.
You know, I mean, so ski porn.
Come on in.
And I think, you know, I'm not much of a skier, but I think that works fairly well. Surfing porn.
Oh, that's my friend Sherry. She just came over to use the shower.
Kind of works, I think, for me, because it's just exciting to watch. You know, climbing. I mean, I've thrown away the last damn near 20 years of my life climbing, and I don't want to watch it. It's like watching paint dry, dude. Like,
I mean, that's why they took it out of the X Games years ago.
It's just boring.
They were just like yawn.
It's so yawn.
Right.
And so, like, the people who were trying to do climbing porn.
You must be here to fix the cable.
You know, seeing some, you know, some shirtless going bzat, 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 over and over and fucking over, slapping in her head with a thumping techno soundtrack in the background. It's like, God, shoot me in the head, man. Oh, those sorts of things. Like, so, like, I'm not a big fan of that sort of thing. Some people like it, that's cool, but I don't. So I like story. However, that said, and perhaps pointing to my ability to find something to criticize in almost anything, I almost feel like this year there was, you know, I almost wanted a little bit more porn.
Lord, you can imagine where it goes from here.
He fixes the cable.
Don't be fatuous, Jeffrey.
Sometimes, you know, like a little bit more just like really cool action footage. And actually, even though I was kind of like dissing on some of the bouldering videos with my little lame imitation a minute ago, some of those guys do a really good job of with you know, making stuff look exciting, you know, with some kind of cool cuts and some cool camera angles. And some of the guys here, like, I think some of the guys at like Felt Soul Media and like Anson and crew at Forge, they do an amazing job capturing footage. But there's sometimes, I don't know, I mean, it felt like sometimes the story that, like, the contemplative voiceover got maybe a little overdone this year, you know, trying to find meaning and what does it all mean and this and that. It's almost like everyone was everyone trying to be Dark Side of the Lens, perhaps? Did you see that one, that surfing movie from last year, Dark Side of the Lens? It's mega, dude. Like, everyone should go on, I think, on Vimeo, or just type into Google Dark Side of the Lens. And the guy is Mickey Smith. He's I think he's Irish surf photographer. And it's like 5 minutes of just poetry.
I have actually seen that.
It's amazing.
I have seen that.
Man, he just nails it, and that's hard to do.
Right.
I mean, it actually takes more than, like, you know, just like reading off a script that about like what it all means or whatever. Like it takes more than that to make for a good story. And so sometimes I thought that maybe the attempts to try to go deep were a little strained. In my opinion.
And you know, this is a criticism, and I mean, you can tell by this show. And by my attempts to be, you know, as off the cuff as possible, it's sort of like this growing criticism I have of a lot of climbing media or outdoor media, just like so hammering that, like that spiritual, like, and okay, it's all there, but there's there's all sorts of other avenues. And you're right. It seemed a little bit strained at times. At times, not always. Right. And I mean, we appreciate everyone's efforts. I think it's cool. And I think like thoughtful criticism is actually a totally fair and useful thing. So, well, I mean, everybody wants to talk about art, film as art, and so that's the good and the bad. Art needs to be criticized. So, for sure. But I'll say this. I mean, what we're looking, I think we've made the improvement towards the story, towards creating that. It's more captivating than just imagery. So I guess what we're talking about is maybe like swinging back to a balance. And it seems like we're well on our way to that. I mean, for too long, everyone was trying to do porn, and it just didn't work. But then some of the shooting skills and the editing skills of the visuals are starting to get really good. But maybe some of it was a little too contemplative for my taste. Well, the thing about a film festival too the other way is you sit there for a few hours watching these things, and it's like, definitely whatever effect the movie should have had at times can wear off. Yes. You know, and all, like, because you vote at this thing for the best in show, and my girlfriend at the time was like, yeah, what are you going to vote for? And I don't know, one of the first couple, just because I was more excited then than I am like 2.5 hours later. Yeah. So, but you know, that's just the way things are. Yeah, so that needs to be factored in too, you know, and also, I mean, it's so subjective. I mean, some of the things that, some people out there listening are probably like, you guys are idiots. You know, every single film was the best one I've ever seen. Exactly. And they all were good. I mean, I don't think there were any stinkers. Right. I think it's an evolving art. I mean, as with all art. So one of the things I asked Kelly about, or mentioned to him the other night after one of the shows, was that, I mean, I kept getting hit, and I guess because I'm used to climbing, and I think it's, you know, not that big a deal, and I don't have a proper lens on it, but just how much more badass a lot of these other sports were, and I guess that's where we're bringing it around to climbing. Yeah, and that brings us to our one of both our favorites, the one that made my palms sweat the most and heart thump, was this Code Red movie, which I believe is a Billabong movie. Yeah, let me look on. They sponsored it. I think it was Billabong, and it was in Tahiti, and right, Chopu. That's how you pronounce that. I looked it up today. You nailed it. Yeah, no, I looked it up today. It looks like Tiahuapo or something like that, but Chopu. So you surfers, don't diss me. I got it right. Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, Tiahuapo, they'd be like, this beach is for locals only, you sponger. Get out of my water, you grommet. At the Billabong Pro Tahiti, the Tahitian government placed the coastline under a heavy swell advisory. From free surfing to the epic Code Red tow session, it all came down to this: a few surfers and a swell to end all swells, in one of the heaviest sessions ever documented during a competition. That was when that, like, it was like, wasn't it like the biggest wave on Earth or something ever? I have no idea. Stratosphere. I think one of the things about those waves, or the thing about those waves, is not only size but volume. That they're just so massive. Did you see some of those shots from the angle? Of course you did. I mean, they're like go as far back. I mean, there's like a fucking city block piled up 60 feet high, moving. It's unbelievable. And these burly dudes are like, all right, dude, you want to go first? You want me to go first? It's like, oh my God, those crazy bastards are going in. Well, here's the history, because I was actually surfed down in Mexico in January. My buddy had all the surfer journals piled up, so I was reading a whole bunch of surfer journals and looked into this, and then I looked into it a little bit more today, actually, and you know, apparently, basically, about this first guy to ride a really huge one of these huge rollers there was in 2000, was our favorite hero, man crush, Laird Hamilton. Right. And posters of him on at those, and him and his bros invented that towing. And at that time, they pretty much assumed that if you went down in this thing, you were going to die. Like it was just like you either stay up or you're dead. So kind of like A5, right? Chris. Yeah, right. Or free soloing. You know, it was at that time. I mean, it was a free solo. It was a really hard free solo at your limit on site is what he did, right? Yeah. Or in his mind. But you know, it turns out that once those guys kicked the door open and guys really started getting into this tow and surfing, actually, people started finding out that, in fact, you could roll in these waves. And here's the thing about this movie. How, though? Did you see the way those guys got fucking pummeled?
Oh
and
my
that's the, I mean,
God.
it's like, you know, if you like watching those like skateboard videos where people get jacked,
Yeah.
these guys like, cause they do all these awesome slow-mo shots of them inside of this thing, and anybody who's seen a picture of this wave, it's so fat and massive, and they're like inside of this giant cave.
It's amazing.
And it just like swallows them up. I mean, it might as well be a cave, like rocks, like piling
palms
down
are
them.
sweating.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it was breathtaking.
And you see them get
man.
sucked up into the roll and like their body. It's just like,
and it's like you're kind of like you put your fingers over your face because you don't want to look, but you're peeking through your fingers at the same time because. And some of them make it out, and then the crowd and the audience here in Carbondale's all like cheering. And
yeah, we were cheering, and none of these guys were there. No filmmakers were there, and we're cheering this movie because these guys pop up on. I mean, they all did. On that day, they all did, and there was multiple wipeouts in this giant freaking wave.
Oh yeah, and that's kind of the thing. Like psychologically, like the mental toughness of those dudes. I mean, to jump off your Kenny Powers jet ski or whatever it is and like get into the way. I mean, you got to know, dude, that like there's probably a 70% chance that you're going to eat shit and just get pummeled.
Right.
And I'm sure some of those guys get, sometimes those guys bite it too.
They do die. Yeah.
And I mean, dude, I tell you what, a lot more people were wiping out in that wave than people who fall on A5 pitches or whatever it is, or even free soloing, So yeah, like you were saying, it's kind of like free soloing at your limit,
right?
Except I guess if you free solo at your limit, you're going to die if you fall. And these guys have proven that you're going to survive. But my God, are you going to get?
Yeah,
beat?
I don't know where the analogy really fits or if it doesn't.
Maybe not.
But it's just a matter of when you go out climbing, we obviously like the thrill of it. And there's this thing maybe in your back of your mind, even if you're falling on bolts, for a second, there's still this little rush of excitement as you pitch onto a bolt. But I mean, it's just like, I can't imagine what it's like to be inside of there and then suddenly feel yourself tipping off your board. Like,
and you've got like 800 million tons of water that's going to come crashing. And like some of those waves, like you would see the thing crash and you're like, uh-oh, where is he? You saw his board squirt out 100 feet to the left, and you're like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And then all of a sudden you see the dude's like body, like half conscious, like come up, but he's all right.
Well, yeah, and I've surfed like tiny waves that scare the crap out of me. What like a real surfer would like laugh at. And I'm like, I feel it coming up under the board, and I'm just like, yikes! And it's like, like a 5-footer.
Yeah. I think surfing's badass. And those dudes in that Code Red movie by Jamie Brooks, it was amazing. And it makes you think of mental toughness though. So like I don't know, are climbers that mentally tough? Like it's kind of weird. Like sometimes people will say like, oh man, going up there on those things and blah blah blah, it's gotta be scary, and like how do you keep your composure mentally? I don't know. I was talking with a friend about this the other day, and I think I got it figured out. It's basically the Coward's Guide to Alpine Success. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. There's a few keys. First, you always start in the dark because then you can't see what you're getting into. Because if you actually saw the thing, dude, I'm serious.
So starting in the dark has nothing to do with like beating the weather to all that sort of. It's just about not being able to see the mountain.
That's secondary, my man. Yeah, totally. It's all about not being able to see the mountain because I'm such a chicken shit. I think I just turn around, And so you start in the dark, so you can't really see what you're doing, and you shrink down your brain, which is easy to do because it's already pretty small if you're alpine climbing. And so you start climbing, and you got a little bit of the male ego, sort of thing going on where you kind of don't want to be the first one to like say, hey, I think this is a really bad idea.
Sure.
Even though it almost always is a really bad idea. And so then you start climbing, right? And so, you kind of try to get a little bit of excitement going. Then you start climbing, and it always feels good to climb, So you start feeling good. And then you get high on the face. And the whole deal is to get high on the face before the sun comes up.
Okay.
Because then you're high enough up, it's a real pain in the ass to go down. and here comes another, which relates to one of my other key points to alpine success for cowards, is always pick a route where the best way to descend is not the same way you went up. So you kind of got to go up and over to like get down a different side. Right. Because then you get up there a ways, and then the sun comes up, and honestly you are like, oh my God, this is the most amazing place. I can't believe we're here. This is so cool. And then, so you and your buddy are really excited, and then you're sitting there, maybe you're brewing up, and then you start to think like, oh man, this is kind of scary. But then you're like, it's like, it was like when those dudes were going down the towing. You want to go first?
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not gonna, man, I'm already short and got a girl's name. I'm not gonna be the first guy to say like I'm insecure enough. I'm not gonna be like, I want to go down. But so then a little bit of that male ego gets you higher. And then you're so high that once all that macho bullshit is worn off and you realize what a really, truly terrible idea this was, you're already so far up that it makes more sense to go over the top and get down the other way.
Right.
So that's the whole psychological aspect of alpine climbing.
It's just fight off that little voice just long enough to get beyond, halfway.
And there are some aids that can help, such as starting in the dark, so you can't see what you're doing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, I was thinking of maybe doing like a motivational coaching thing for climbers, seminar in positive thinking or something.
Yeah. That'll be a branch off of your life coach career.
Exactly. I'm gonna be
Kelly's offered me some life coach consulting.
Yeah, I'm going to be a life coach. Yeah, and the guy who lives in a shack by himself. Yeah,
perfectly happy though.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about your ultra runner theory then.
Yeah. So this is why I think the toughest athletes are ultra runners. So ultra marathoners, the people who run like 100 miles at a clip. Because, it goes without saying that it's badass to run 100 miles with in a clip. But, dude, like my best alpine climbs have been ones where like, we tricked ourselves into getting so high that we kind of had to keep going.
Right.
So in the sense, there's no bravery in that. But like the ultra runners, why not just quit?
I know.
Yeah. Dude, there's a fucking beer. Hey, I'm over here. I got a beer cooler. Come on over.
It's just like the
I got a
Forrest
bag
Gump.
of chips for you.
Yeah,
Come
it's
on
the
over.
Gump. You
Totally.
just suddenly you could just anytime you wanted to stop.
Just quit.
Just stop running.
Seriously, like when the going gets tough, just quit.
Right.
That's another part of my life coach motivational series. So I think the ultra runners are super badass because, like my buddy Craig, CFS, Craig fucking Scariot. So he's more gimpy than me. He's beat to hell, that scrawny little bastard. I mean, he's like smaller than me. And he's had more surgeries than me. And I went out to crew for him on this brutal ultra race he did in Utah last year. And that gimpy, goofy bastard is wobbling around. He's staggering. He's like, looks like he's had a few cocktails. He can barely walk. I'm like, oh, Craig, how you doing? Oh, I think I'm all right. Well, I just quit, dude.
Did you?
No, I didn't. Well, but he's my friend, so I care for him. I was a little concerned about him, about his health.
Right.
I didn't truly say, come on, dude, why not just quit? How would that be? But
now?
He can't.
5 minutes later, how about now? You want to quit
I got
now?
some chips over there in the car. You want some? I'm pouring margaritas.
I was just thinking about commitment-wise in terms of that total commitment of
Toe skiing into a giant wave like that. Guys who impress me, like because I hate cold water. I'm also not very good at fast things. Climbing is just so slow.
Yeah.
It's contemplative. The next move, for the most part, right, is for fucking kayaking. Like kayakers, you guys are rad. There was I don't know what it was in. It was like it was in a clip that Boomer showed where his buddy, where he rappelled down.
That was crazy.
So he rappels down into this canyon to the top of this waterfall, and so he's hanging vertically in his kayak with like the nose of it in the water, and he's reaching behind him, with a knife to just snap the rope like Clint Eastwood in
Void or something.
or I was thinking Eastwood in the end of Eiger Sanction.
Yeah,
cut the rope.
Both of which were great movies.
So and then he just cuts himself loose, and he's instantly in it.
Yeah.
Somehow he gets his paddle around because he's holding it with one hand, and then a fraction of a second later in the film, he just comes shooting off of this ginormous waterfall.
Yeah,
I was just like. That's insane.
In one of those ones, it might have been that. There was the one dude who was running a Class 8 Rapids or whatever. Doesn't it go up? Wait.
I don't know. Does it go that high?
Well, why not? Where can you go from 5? Where can you?
Right.
Why not
11,
8
right.
or 11 or 6? But yeah, the most crazy frothing, like evil looking rapids, and the guy's going through it. So I think some of the differences with climbing, I mean, yeah, you're getting pumped and stuff like that, but you can slow down, you can think, you can figure out the next move.
That's what I mean.
Exactly. And those guys are moving so fast, and the consequences, like, even if you know what, I just realized I used to say this, and then I did go and break my leg. I used to say that, like, the great thing about climbing is even if I fall and break my leg, you know, at least I can breathe.
Right,
you
you're
know,
not also being swept down the river.
I can crawl my gimp ass out of there. It's kind of ironic because that's pretty much what happened a couple of years ago.
Oh, right
but
on.
yeah, how about that? Yeah, touching. But those kayaker dudes, and it's moving so fast, so they have to make such quick decisions and such quick reactions. And then on that one where that guy went through that evil rapid, where he snapped his paddle in half,
right.
and he comes out at the other end with like half a paddle, and like, woohoo!
It's also one of those sports which climbing is not, and that was part of my infamous A5 rant.
YouTube it.
With climbing, it can be harder, but still be safe. You know, if you want to sport climb, you can climb harder, but pretty much, you know, and a kayaker may be able to find some sort of example where this isn't true, but I think for the most part, if you want to kayak harder, it also automatically means more dangerous.
Yeah,
you
probably,
know,
huh?
You know, it's like the supposed A climbing ratings, because that's what the class 4, class 5 class. It's what the commitment is. And the thing I've always wondered about kayaking, and again, these people can correct me if I'm wrong, but that margin, once you get past 2 or 3, like if you're someone who's going and even kayaking 4s and 5s pretty regularly, the specter of catastrophe, it feels like it's so much more looming.
Yeah.
Than going and climbing whatever you're going to go climb, you know. And you could be a climber progressing your whole life and never climb what we consider really dangerous climbing. There's people who pursue that, but it's like you can't be a great kayaker without being a sketchy kayaker, a kayaker who kayaks stuff that could kill you more and more
really
easily.
Hard stuff is really dangerous too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so good on you, kayakers.
Man,
I've partied with kayakers, and it's like my little climber ass. Like I sneak away,
dude. When it comes
at some
to
point,
partying,
and not
that's
yet.
another thing we're climbing. I mean, I know we both sound like we're ripping on climbers, and we've both thrown away our lives climbing. But, well, I mean, maybe there's a correlation right there. Maybe
we
we're
hate
just
all of
old
you.
and bitter. But like,
sorry, Peter.
Sorry, dude. Man, the partying thing, we can't even hang. You ever try to hang with the skiers?
No.
Dude, don't even try.
All right, well, we're actually going to go to the last night of the film festival, and I'm looking forward to Fitz Cahall.
Yeah.
And the Dirtbag Diaries guy. I know I keep calling him my nemesis. I'm actually quite fond of him.
Yeah,
and he's got a movie on Craig DiMartino, who's going to be on the next show.
Craig DiMartino is rad, by the way.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that.
Like, I'm doing the I'm not worthy thing to Craig DiMartino right now.
But so we're gonna go check that out. What else is going on?
I'm excited to see this one, Kadoma. It's about this, and I read the story about these kayakers, including this South African world-class kayaker Henry Coetzee.
Oh, this is the guy that gets eaten by the crocodile.
Crocodile. Oh my God! Like this guy is like super exploratory adventure guy, like gone down the Nile and all these crazy things, and he's in the Congo, and and I guess while they're on this trip, documented this out of nowhere, just in these placid waters, they're just paddling along, and like this massive crocodile just comes up and just chomps him. Boom, never seen again.
Yeah, because I heard one of his partners speak on that yesterday. Actually,
wow.
Yeah, it was super heavy.
Ooh.
It was a public thing, and he could hardly get the words out.
Oh,
you know,
man.
Yeah, I didn't know that was tonight.
Yeah,
I'm psyched.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not psyched to see something as horrible as that, but it's going to be powerful.
Huh?
All right, anything else to say about our lovely 5 Point Film Festival?
No, I just think it's
Carbondale?
great, and big props to Julie Candy for having the vision to do it. Patagonia supported it. Basically, I think the story is basically that Yvonne kind of made it happen, and then Julie, man, you know what? Julie Candy is a connector. You ever read that Malcolm Gladwell book?
Someone just brought that up to me like a couple days ago.
Yeah, Julie Candy knows everybody, and she can make shit happen. When she called me to talk me into, helping, because, I did the writing for Cold, I'm like, I've never written for film before. I don't know, and I don't even know
That's
this Hanson guy,
dude.
You did the writing on Cold last year.
Yeah, it was my first one. I'm done, dude. It's not. I mean, that film went so well. Thank you. It's been great. I'm out of here.
But you can't
It's only
claim
going
you're
downhill
like
from here.
that. You don't know anything about filmmaking, dude. I'm calling you out.
Oh shit. Well, but by the end of the conversation, like I had thrown all these disclaimers to Julie, like, well, I don't even know this Anson guy, and I don't really know. It's not my thing. Blah blah. And then like by the end of the conversation, I had like, I had agreed to do it somehow. That's the way Julie is. She makes things happen.
All right, let me ask you something real quick.
Okay.
And this is something I'm curious about. Maybe you don't have no idea, but like these films that are being made, okay, and this is actually relates to me and this Enormocast thing, because I've been talking about, well, what the hell am I doing this for the last 9 episodes?
For all the bitches.
Yeah, right. So Anson made that or helped make that movie. Corey shot it
Anson
for the most part.
Genius behind it.
What? Why? What comes out of these films? I mean, do you guys make money off of them?
Not much.
I mean, it's not like you sell tickets to theaters. Like,
no.
Do you get paid from to be in these festivals?
No.
I mean, not you specifically, but does the production?
I don't even know because I just I basically agreed to just give it a try because I don't always have that much confidence about my writing. So I'm like, I don't know if and Anson's like, how much, what's your rate, blah, blah. I guess writers typically get paid for the project, and then the director can get royalties after the fact. And since it's been it won grand prize for the entire Banff festival, you know, and so I think that probably brought some money. I'm not exactly sure, but because I'm kind of checked out of it. I mean, I was just like, I don't know, if you think I do a good job, pay me what you think is a fair rate, And so I ended up.
You need a life coach, dude.
Dude, I do. I'm freaking pathetic, man. I'm the worst.
Of course, I should talk.
But I don't think in general, I don't think these things make really that much money. I think, and that's a whole nother topic and an interesting one that I guess they had that panel that you were on. Like, how do you? I mean, basically, these people are trying to create, artistic things, and Anson Fogel is a freaking genius, man. Like, working with him was such an honor. But he makes his money basically shooting commercials and stuff, and then he makes real art on the side.
Right. Well, that was kind of what that talk. I was not necessarily on the panel; I was just there, but that talk was about because it was about how to incorporate branding, and by that meaning product placement in a sense, or at least an overriding sponsor, and where that crosses the line from art to whatever. It's kind of a big deal, but that's those companies have the money to make some of these films, and on your own you can't go to Nepal and do all that sort of stuff, or wherever it happens to be. So obviously, like Patagonia and Polar Tech and Black Diamond have their hands in these things, and that was sort of what the discussion was, which we have to go to these films is another day, but I was just curious because I'm like, so what happens now? You show your film, and that movie you were on, Cold, which I recommend everybody goes and steals off the internet or something, is you guys got a bunch of awards and stuff, but like I was thinking was a little like clip kind of movie, like 5-minute movie, and the guys that were running on the water.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
These dudes have created a sport where they're trying to basically do the Jesus thing and walk on water.
Yes.
Or like skipping stones.
That's hilarious.
It's also pretty cool, but it's this little movie they made, and I mean, what's ever going to happen to that? I mean, obviously, it looked like it was pretty easy to make. It's just some dude standing, but there's all levels in between where you get a 5-minute clip that actually does look amazingly produced. Or you take Jeremy Collins' stuff, which I love and I'm super impressed with, and it's this heavy animation, it's artistic statements, it's a work of passion and diligence, and then I'm just like, okay. So he world premiered his a major piece, 2 of them I think here. I only saw one of them, but then I was just thinking, so then what happens? Like, does someone buy? I mean,
I think, I think it,
or is it like sidewalk chalk art? It just sort of disappears and goes into the basement of YouTube or something.
Maybe everything changes, right? And everything dies. Yeah. And
we eat our babies.
Yeah, and we eat our babies. Yeah, our earlier discussion. That's for another podcast.
Yeah.
The
Road.
The Road. Cormac McCarthy, incredible. Everyone should go read it. But I kind of think that for a lot of these people, that they make their money other ways, and they do these really good things on the side as art. And then the interesting thing is indeed with the companies that start to see, oh wow, there's value in this. People are loving this. And the smart companies will get in and do like the NPR model, like brought to you by Patagonia or something.
Right.
And the dickhead companies will be like, oh, you got to hold that logo in the front. And then it's just like, nah, you know. And then you have to decide if you're going to say, no, I'm not going to do that, you know, or are you going to take the money? So it's a little bit. So
are you going to eat the baby?
Totally. You know what? It's almost a little bit like so. I mean, you go and pose down for a photo shoot because you're, you know, I don't know, like, you know, you work for a company and they want photos of this cool new Enormo dome jacket or whatever. And yeah, exactly. As we're looking at one of you right here, dude.
Yep, I'm in the Polar Tech ad.
Yeah. You know, looking all intense, reading into the portaledge. But, like, so you go do that stuff. You do that. A lot of it, we do it for our friends to help out if they're, like, the photographer or whatever. But if you're doing it for, you know, a company who you're involved with, you do that because that's part of your job. That's kind of part of your work. And then you have the days where you go climbing with your bros.
Right.
And I kind of almost think there's an analogy between maybe some of these movie people making their money with commercial shoots.
Right.
And then they pour their heart and souls into making something really artistic.
And then what I'm sort of trying to do with the Enormocast is then you build it and they will come.
Yeah.
And you've got it already and you've made it the way you wanted to make it. And then that's maybe when they do start to say, all right, we want at least to be brought to you by us.
Yeah, which is
and
a
the
great
product's
model.
already there, so it doesn't it doesn't change it in any way.
And hopefully they never come in and say, you know, yeah, we want to support you, but you know, that short kid with the mullet who drops the F-bomb all the time, you gotta tell him to quit cursing. And then it's like you bring up, you know what, here's a great one. Then you bring up the British soccer fans cheer. My girlfriend is in London right now, and she went to a soccer match. She had 40,000 people, 99% men, and like some of them really rough and tumble, security forces everywhere, and the whole stadium was singing this cheer that they came up with. We're going to the championships. Fuck you. So do you say that, or do you bend over and say, "Oh, okay, we'll make sure we bleep him out all the time"?
Right, bleep out the 40,000 people. All right, well, thanks for that one last F-bomb, Kelly. We got to go to these movies.
Awesome, Chris. Looking forward to the movies.
Yeah, and we'll see you in a couple months, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Back on the Enormocast.
Yeah,
you're kind of starting to become my little guest host.
Yeah, until you get enough hate mail. Get rid of that guy.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, going to the movies with Kelly Cordes. Thanks for listening, everybody. Head over to the website, enormocast.com, and I've got links to most of the films that we talked about in the podcast, or at least links to some trailers. I forgot to mention that you can also email me at chris@enormocast.com. I'm easily able to respond to all those, so let's start talking on that. And I'm very excited about our next show. I sat down with Craig DiMartino, so come back in a couple weeks for my interview with Craig DiMartino and prepare to laugh, to cry, for your palms to sweat, everything. It is one of the best things we've done, I think, at the Enormocast, and by we, I guess it means me and Craig. Oh, and one last thing. I'd like to give a very special shout out to Vicky from LA and her partner on the North Chimney. Just saying hello. Thanks for listening. Be safe out there, Vicky, and the rest of you. Make sure and check your knot. We'll see you next time.
Independent films are produced outside the Hollywood system. They're movies without all the glitz and glamour of Hollywood.
You show me one independent film that isn't about gay cowboys eating pudding.
Once again, you have no idea what you're talking about, fat ass.
I'm not fat. I just haven't grown into my body yet, you skinny bitch.
Eric, if you call Wendy a bitch one more time, I'm sending you to the principal's office.
Bitch.